I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, January the 17th, brought to you in part by Joplin Regional Stockyards. Much lighter run this week than a week ago here Monday, because they had 12,000 head last week. Only expecting around 5,000 head this week. Been pretty wintry around that area. Roads a little bit dicey here and there, keeping some of the cattle back a little bit, but still 5,000 head on offer here for the regular feeder cattle auction on Monday. Don't forget, next Wednesday, not this coming Wednesday's cow and bull sale, but next Wednesday on the 26th, they are having a cow and bull special. They'll have some dispersals on there, and if you've got some dispersals you'd like to sell, you can still get them consigned there to the cow and bull special next Wednesday there at Joplin. 2022 beef production is projected to be lower. Of course, all the numbers that they projected are to be lower. Our beef stocks are lower to start the year. Production, imports, exports, and consumption all expected to be down on the beef. And you wonder why that is. Well, we know we got less numbers of cattle, and so we're going to probably be harvesting a bit fewer of them because we just got fewer of them out there. But the price is high, not just here but all over the world. So that's going to make a difference there. We just can't afford as much of it. Now, if you look at the fake meat which is out there, and almost every place you look at, as far as fast food, and a lot of our chain restaurants are offering some type of fake meat, but it's not going over real well. And you see that. Even whenever the shelves are empty of our real meat products, especially beef, you see that there's still plenty of the fake stuff out there. Nobody wants to eat that. I don't know if you guys saw the clip. It was on a Fox News show there that showed several of them, of the personalities on there, trying some of the fake meat, and they weren't liking it at all. Dan Bongino on there, which is one of my favorites, he especially didn't like it, and he thought we just needed to come out with a bumper sticker that said, "Just go ahead and eat the cow." And he's not really, big into that kind of thing, doesn't know that much about it, but he knows what he likes, and everybody on there was pretty much in agreement. If you haven't seen that clip, I shared it on Facebook on the Feeder Flash Gang page there, so if you guys want to go on there and look at that, it's kind of funny and pretty interesting. But even KFC has got fake chicken nuggets out there now, and gosh, that doesn't sound very good at all. But people make more fun of them than they are embracing them, so you don't see that. You may get some people in the big cities that think they're saving the planet because they can't even come out and say that the fake product is as healthy as your real meats, because it's absolutely not. So if they're being truth in their advertising, they don't say that. They just talk about cow farts and us being mean to animals and keeping chicken in cages, and I don't know where else you'd keep them, but all the things that people get feeling soft about. But whenever people really get hungry or they want something good to eat, they're still going to go to the real meat. But look at some of those beef numbers that come out here this past week. Beef stocks, which is stockpiles, the amount that we have on hand at the beginning of this year in 2022, set at 660 million pounds. That's down 56 million pounds from the start of a year ago. Beef production is projected to be down 78 million pounds at 27.24 billion pounds that we produce here in this country. Beef imports, 3.27 billion pounds, down 90 million pounds compared to last year. So you think that's good? Well, our beef exports are exactly the same as far as in your weight, 3.27 billion pounds. It's exactly the same. Our beef imports and our beef exports exactly the same. You think, well, why don't we just scratch those out? Well, it promotes trade, and I see people saying that, oh, we shouldn't be importing anything. Well, it's about the same as we export. It's kind of just a wash there. And the types of products that we import, they end up adding value to some of the things that we don't have as much of, and then we export things that we don't like to eat here. It just kind of works there, and you know, I think that's kind of foolish to think that we shouldn't have any imports of beef whenever, you know, it's the same amount that we export, so as far as poundage, so you know, why would we not have some trade there? But our beef exports are going to be down 185 million pounds is what they're saying. Beef consumption, which scares me a little bit, is also projected to be down. And so, you know, I don't know, you know, what we can do about that. People just can't afford it. And we've heard people come out and say here in the last year or two especially that beef is starting to get to the point where it's a luxury that a lot of people can't afford. Not a hamburger, but a steak, a really good ribeye steak or prime rib log or something like that. You know, people can't afford that anymore. And you know, it is a luxury. A lot of us have it for a Christmas meal, or some people have switched over to that on Thanksgiving, but it's gotten so expensive that a lot of people can't afford it anymore, but they still want it just as much. But beef consumption is set to be 27.25 billion pounds there, and that's really close to what we produce here in this country, but that's what we eat here too, and then we have offsetting imports and exports, so things are balanced out pretty well. That's how come the Packers got such a stranglehold on everything, because this wagon wheel, every cog in there is just well balanced there, and whenever they have one break, like them not being able to get plant workers in there and things like that, that really hurts it. It disrupts the whole flow of everything. But 27.25 billion pounds of consumption in the U.S., that's expected to be down 725 million pounds, or if you look at that per capita, per customer, we eat about 57.4 pounds a year. You know, that's a good weekend for some of us. But that's expected to be down 1.7 pounds per person this coming year. So you just take that information and you can be a Cliff Clavin with it or whatever. But what's the other things that we looked at and talked about last week? We had that American Farm Bureau Federation convention there, and they had some discussion and then pretty much just rode the fence on whether they would support the compromise bill that would put in a minimum negotiated amount that we would have to have in there, and I can't for the life of me understand why that. American Farm Bureau is supposed to be a voice for the producer, grassroots, and you had people in there, you know, basically from the Southern Plains down here that is so totally sold out to your corporate feeders and their packer partners there. And also, you know, TCFA, KLA, and all them have a lot of influence over that. People were on there debating that and talking about it, and they had some of those debates and statements in there, you know, listed in some, not interviews, but in articles that I'd read this week. And the people that were there to vote and doing the debate on it had no idea what they were talking about. And that's what's frustrating. You get people in there that want to be on those boards, they want to be delegates and things like that, and they don't even know enough about what they're talking about to get in there and do a skillful debate about it. One guy was on there saying, you know, 50%, we can't do that. We never said it was going to be 50%. There was people wanting 50%, but that's not what the compromise bill is asking for. It's going to, you know, it's asking for to have percentages that will work regionally, and then set mandates for minimums. Now it could be 50% in Iowa. Iowa's very near 50% right now. So, you know, whenever you got people in there don't even know what they're talking about, and they're really don't understand all the ramifications of it, or how fat cattle trade really happens. It's frustrating, but I was very disappointed in American Farm Bureau Federation there. We had a big packer narrative this last week all about how this Omicron variant has everybody sick, It's about like the flu or the common cold. The heck of it is, if you go and get tested, then you get to stay home for 5 days or 10 days or whatever it is there. But, you know, just every packer just whining and moaning about not being able to get people there to work. Well, you know, that's everywhere. It's everywhere that people are sick. You look at the schools, you look at, you know, feedlots aren't able to keep all their employees there either. Nobody can keep all their employees there. You just have to work through those. And they didn't have as big a Saturday as they could have had. I don't think they're really wanting to push that much, even though they do have orders to fill and they've got good demand for the beef there. But they're just kind of using it to get some of that market position back. And they got some of it back, and that's kind of the way it goes, that they just get everybody brainwashed into their narrative there. But we had some weather come across the Midwest there, had some snows in there. Southern Plains is still desperately dry. I mean, there's people praying for hail down here in the Southern Plains just for the moisture, because we don't have any moisture down here, and the wind blows. We had 40, 50 mile an hour winds this past week, and got everything just completely dried completely out. Let's look at your board for last week. February live cattle futures. Monday was down $1.07. Tuesday back up $1.42. Wednesday down $1.10. You're seeing the trend there. Thursday up 42 cents, and Friday was up 97. So ended on a positive note, and it was higher for the week, up 65 cents at 137.97. And that's going to be higher than what our weighted averages are, about $1 or a little more. April live cattle futures ended the week at 142.12. That was up just 7 cents compared to a week ago. January feeder cattle contracts, Monday was down $1.17, Tuesday was up $1.15, Wednesday down 20 cents, Thursday up $1.05, and Friday down 22. With end of the week closing settlement for January contracts at 162.70. That was up 60 cents. March ended the week at 166.37. That was down 30 cents. Your grains been very volatile, but ended up down quite a bit for the week in a comparison there. Your March corn contracts ended up down 10.5 cents a bushel for the week at 5.96 1/4 after trading way up there over $6 there for the last many sessions, and that $6 scares cattle feeders quite a bit. Kansas City hard red winter wheat down 30 cents for the week at 7.45 a bushel, and your beans 13.69 3/4, down 40 3/4 cents there for the week. So that's one reason we got a little bit of shot in the arm there on your feeder cattle. Fat cattle trade through Thursday, 46,500 head, and that's just going to be light because we didn't have a whole lot on Friday. We had extremely light trade the previous week, but we're just not trading enough negotiated cash to get any kind of a leverage in the trade. That's why we need minimum requirement mandates by the government, and we hate to ask the government for help, but we have to have it to save it ourselves, save us from ourselves. I tell you what, these big corporate feeders and a lot of these guys that feed for niche markets and think they've got better cattle than everybody else, they're all getting into these alternative marketing agreements. Everything's still based off your cash market. There's just not much cash market at all anymore, people. How about your live sales steers and heifers through Thursday? 134 to 140. You know, that's steady to mostly $2 lower. And your weighted average on live steers up through Thursday, 136.58. That's going to be about $2 lower than last week. Dress sales were all 218. You know, it's hard to believe. Every dress sale turned in by your packers through mandatory price reporting were at 218, and in fact your weighted average on dress steers was 217.99. Might have been a few there off of that. The heifer weighted average on a dress basis was exactly 218, and that's $2 lower than the previous week. Had a little bit of trade on Friday, mostly in the northern feedlot areas, but Iowa sold about 600 head. 12,600 head for the week. Live sales 138 to 139. Dress sales 218, of course. Nebraska about 2,000 on Friday. 17,300 head for the week. all at 218 dressed. Kansas, only 300 heads sold, confirmed on Friday, 13,100 for the week, and 135. And that's kind of frustrating because 136 was the main market, so we hated to see them sell cattle at 135. Not a whole lot, but you know, you still got to take notice of it. But Northern Plains is getting a pretty good premium to what Southern Plains is getting. Texas didn't have any sales on Friday, 6,300 head for the week. Box beef cutouts were up big for the week. Packers are gaining, so their margin is growing again, giving less for the fats, selling their product, which is beef. That's not your product. Your product's cattle. They're selling their beef higher and buying the cattle cheaper. But you look at choice cuts, your weighted average for all of last week's sales on choice, 280.27. That was up 12.25 cents. And your late week was up more than that, about $4 more. So, you know, by Friday afternoon, they had the choice cuts up to 284.31. Selects weighted average on all of last week's sales, 270.57. That was up $10.67. And your late week Friday afternoon selects almost 274 there. But they're gaining ground, which we need them to be able to sell that meat higher. And they just don't want to share it. But you look at a pretty good movement last week on a spot basis there, 622 loads of cuts, grinds, and trimmings. Your slaughter, and this is what everybody's been talking about, is how your slaughter is so disappointing. 621,000 harvested last week. That's 1,000 more than the previous week. Quite a bit lower than the same week a year ago, but we had a huge week. Same week a year ago. That's what they're wanting to slaughter. 652,000 is what they had a year ago this past week, and that's a huge week there. But we were 31,000 less than that. Now, with every single packer you're talking to whining about not being able to get any workers in there, I don't think that was a terrible harvest there. And as soon as this Omicron variant kind of blows over, we're probably going to be in the clear, and we'll see whether they want to step up the slaughter or not. But, you know, could have had more on Saturday. Only 53,000 harvested on Saturday compared to 58 a week ago and 65,000 a year ago. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DB auction. Late in the day or at the end of the week, actually, 159.72. That was down $1.52. That's under 160 there, and we talked about that last week, how your bigger yearling feeder cattle, they just, you know, that we've surpassed being able to hedge those against April, and the market's just falling on them. They're not as attractive as some of these long-weaned calves that we're seeing show up that's got some weight to them and are going right into the feedlot. Now those big yearling feeders will feed better than that, but they've been selling at such a premium all along that it's got to come down a little bit. And your big feeders selling steady to $3 lower. Your calves weighing under 750 pounds, and a fair amount of those going right into the feedlot, $3 to $5 higher, with a lot of really reputation consignments, long weaned by now, and had some weather on them. Going to be a whole lot easier to straighten up than what guys have been having to buy here through the fall and the early winter. But look at a big sale there on Friday. Winter livestock auction, Winter, South Dakota. Only place you're going to get this market unless they pay for it. 4,600 head sold this week. 4,700 a week ago, so good comparison there. And it was kind of flip-flopped from what our nationwide market was. I talked about how the big feeders were lower and your calves selling higher. You know, we did see that real late in the week up in the northern plains and the Midwest there, that some of those farmer feeders coming in there, they did come after some of those 8 weights. But those 8 weights are just big old fancy calves, some of them. So it's hard to measure against some backgrounded yearlings like you would get in the southern plains. But 891 head of your 6-weight steer calves in winter, average 652 with a weighted average price of 179.84. That was about steady with a week ago. Almost 1,200 head of 7-weight steer calves in winter, South Dakota, average 751 with a weighted average price on all of them of 165.09. I was about $3 cheaper on the weighted average than the same sale a week ago. 624 head of 8-weight feeder steers, and some of those would be yearlings, and then some of them would be big giant calves. 840 pounds on the average of those 8 weights, with a weighted average price there of $164.24, and that was $4 higher than the same sale a week ago. Look at some outstanding sales there. Individual quotes around late last week. 84 head there in Winter, South Dakota, averaged 647 head. Steer calves there at $188, weighing deep in the sixes there, guys. How about Pays Public Auction Yards, Billings, Montana? 56 head, 557 pound steers at $206.75. I'm going to be doing a talk down in Red Lodge late this month, last Saturday of the month there, if you guys want to look into going that, if you live there local, around Billings area. But the best quote that I saw anywhere late last week come out of Burwell Livestock Market. It's your National Beef Wire top quote for the day. 76 head, 803 pound steers, bring $171.60. And that's your feeder flash for Monday.